एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पुरख निरभव निर्वैर अकाल मूर्त अजूनी सैभं गुर प्रसाद जप आद सच जुगाद सच है भी सच नानक होसी भी सच। वाहिगुरु 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 जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। नानक सहज मिलै जग जीवन नदर करो निस्तारा एक अरदास पाठ कीरत की गुरु रामदास रखो शरणी। Alright, good evening. I always press the wrong button. Yep. Welcome back to In the Code. This is January 2nd, 2025, 9 p.m. and welcome to the new year. This is the first stream of this year. This is the first documentation session of this year. Why do I feel like there's noise of the AC in the background? Maybe it's not coming through in the stream, but I feel it. Anyway, in this session, the title of the stream is how to animate. It should be how to animate text like After Effects inside Vinci Resolve Fusion. What we're gonna make in this episode is this. Okay, this kind of a text animation inside of After Effects is very simple. For context, what I'm trying to recreate is this. Okay, inside After Effects you can very easily make this. This is something I've been using for my animations in the podcast cut downs that I've been working on. There are two parts to this kind of a thing. One is layer styles. So the layer styles inside After Effects is extremely not extremely, but it's certainly a lot more intuitive and easy to work with. Here you just come in here to the layer, say right click, add layer styles, and then you do whatever you want to do. And it's very much like Photoshop, because that's an Adobe ecosystem that where it comes from. So gradient overlay, drop shadow, you do all of that nice stuff here. However, inside of Fusion, doing text styling is very convoluted, the least to say. So that is one thing I want to navigate through, like how do you design text like After Effects layer styles. It is doable, but it's very convoluted. That's all I can say. Then we're gonna animate it like this. So animating it's inside After Effects is extremely simple. You just add a text animator, position animator, and then animate the offset based on words. It's very straightforward and very nice. Once you've done this inside After Effects, going to Fusion of what I'm going to show you right now is like next level pain. But that's exactly why I need to document this, because it's just important for me to document that. And I will show you why it is important for me to do all of this. But first, let me just get to the crux of it. This is what we want to make, right? This is subtext, main text here. Now, I've made a few copies here, but let's just ignore that. We're going to start by taking a text plus node. So you're going to come at the top here where it says text plus and click on it. That gives you a text plus icon here. Okay, that's your text plus node. Now in order to view this, what we can do is we can press 1, so that brings it here. And I'm trying to firstly recreate this, so I'm going to take this and put it on 1, and so this text 2 can be on the second screen. So on the left side what you see is my reference screen, and on the right side is what I'm recreating now. So let's just put this text here. Say this is subtext, and here we say main text here. So our first order of operations is, we wrote things here. Okay, first order of operations is to make the design look like this. Okay, how do we do that? Firstly, I'm going to change the font over here. So the font is New Has Grotesque Display Pro 95 black. It's a very beautiful font. Okay, we put the font here. Now from this point on, let me just zoom in here so it's a little more clear to see. We want to make this kind of an effect where the top and the bottom, right, there's a bit of an overlap going on. So how do we do that? Well, it's not as straightforward. So in After Effects you would just select this layer, right? You would select this, let's say you would just come in here, select this and move the VA, or what do you call this, right? So you move this, it goes up and down, you can do whatever you want to. In Resolve there is no such thing. You cannot do it, at least not something I'm aware of. What you need to do is you need to add character level styling, and that's bad. What did we get here? Why is this double click coming here? I don't know what this icon is about. We'll ignore that. So character level styling, right? How do you do that? Because I'll tell you why it's important. Because if you were to go through into these, right, all of these here, let's say I would select the top, like how I was doing it in After Effects. I would select this here and come in and try to increase the tracking. You'll see the problem is all of the text goes together. Inside After Effects, you could just very conveniently come in here, change the size of just the selected part and stuff like that. However, with Resolve, there is no such thing. You have this thing selected here, still the tracking is affecting the whole thing. All the things are affecting the whole thing. The only workaround here is to use character level styling. So you come right click, say character level styling. You right click in this box and say character level styling. So what this does is it adds this red color keyframe here on the side, and what you need to notice, nothing will change as such, but when you come here into the modifiers, this will become active now. So click on here. Okay, once you have that active, now what this gives you an opportunity to do what you were doing inside After Effects very easily. However, you need to still select the part that you want to affect, just like inside After Effects. So you come in here, you select this part, and now when you come and increase the size, you will see that only that is getting affected. So that's a bit of a workaround already. Like we haven't even begun, but even in the design stage there are quite a few workarounds you have to do. So once with that selected, I'm going to size this up a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to select the top part like so and bring its size up, not too much, like so. I'm going to select the bottom again and bring it up. So over here in your character level styling, you can go into transform and play with the offset. So I can bring the offset up, so it will come something like this. So now our text looks, I can maybe overlap it a little more. Select this part and overlap it kind of like so. Okay, so now our text looks like it is looking here. The next step of operation in design, of course, is to add the gradient, right? So how do we add the gradient? I'm going to select this layer and in tools. So for this you don't need character level styling, because we're going to add a gradient on top of the whole text layer. So we're going to come into okay, this is where the tricky and confusing part of designing text in Resolve comes in. So you're going to come in here into shading. Okay, now shading is a very shady kind of a panel. So right off the bat, something that you have is these numbers here, right? 2, 3, 4, and from 5 it is empty. These are kind of like groups. They're like kind of like predefined stuff that you can use. I don't know, maybe it is helpful, but we'll see what it does. We'll see how we can make use of it. Okay, so the first is white solid fill, the second is red outline. For some reason, if you enable this, you'll have a red outline around your text, and I mean, maybe this is like a very used thing, that's why they've kept it, but we are interested in here white solid fill, and what I am interested in is coming down here into properties and changing from solid to gradient. So the moment I change it from solid to gradient, you will see that you have a gradient on your text, quite similar like your gradient overlay inside of After Effects. Now I won't be able to zoom into one part of the screen, otherwise you're going to miss out on what it is that I'm trying to show. So maybe I can do this and then show. Yeah, that is good. And maybe we can just disable nodes for the moment, yeah, until the point we're working on this. So now here I want to copy from After Effects this thing that I have here, these colors. I'm just gonna come in here, find the gradient, layer styles, gradient overlay. It's getting covered by me right now, but just bear with me. Edit gradient, I just want these colors. So I'm take this color, stop yellow color, the hex code, come back into Resolve, and over here for black I'm going to select this and paste it here. So that gives us the yellow. I'm going to select the orange, select this, select the hex, and shapak, paste. Okay, so now we have the text like this, but again we do not want it like this. If you were to see your effect that we're going for, it's quite subtle. So how do we get that subtleness? First thing, you want to come in here and you want to change, wow, looking here constantly is messing with my neck. You want to change the mapping length from character to text, and straight away you will see that this gradient is being applied throughout the text. The second thing you want to change is you want to just play with these values. So you can see mapping size, right? Size is kind of like how you have your feather or size in your drop shadow. So increase the size, gets more and more softer. So you play with that. In mapping aspect, you can play with like how much of it you want. So kind of like this. And I guess what we can do is we can move it a little here. Yeah, so we're seeing a lot more of the yellow at the bottom, and we can move the orange a little here. So that is in a nutshell how you design your text to look fancy like After Effects layer styles. Okay, once that is done, there is one more. Okay, sorry, there's one more layer of design that I'm going to do, is that's add a drop shadow. So how do you add a drop shadow? Is you come in here and go into tab number 3, that is the black shadow. Just enable it, that will put a drop shadow automatically. Then once that is done, you can come in here and play with the softness a little bit. This is completely personal preference at this point. Okay, that concludes your section of designing text like After Effects layer style. I'm just gonna make a note of where we're at. We're at 11:05 in the stream. Now we're switching to animating. This is really the most important part of this tutorial. So I'm gonna enable nodes again from up here. So we have nodes again, and we're gonna bring this to the side and make nodes a little bigger. So if you see on the left side, you have this animation playing. This is subtext, main text here. We have nothing playing on the right side. We're gonna make that happen now. As I showed in After Effects, it is way too simple. You just add a position animator and then you change the offset, and it's so simple. It's so nice. However, we're in Resolve now, so you gotta be a little careful here, okay? Because things get messed up very easily. We have added in modifiers, we've added a character level styling. I'm going to double click on this to close it down. Okay, on text, I'm going to go back to my tools and go into this text up property. Now the way you add animations inside of Resolve is through using follower, and I'm going to show you how to use it. You come back here. Let me stay on this side actually, so you're not getting like, and nothing's getting covered. You come in here, right click, and we've added a character level styling, right? But you cannot directly add a follower anymore, so you have to come into insert, and inside insert you want to check follower. Okay, now again, just like character level styling, nothing will happen here, but if you come into modifiers, a follower by the name of follower 2 has been added. I'm gonna just rename this to, we're gonna first animate the position, so I'm gonna rename this to position. Okay, and it did not get renamed. Huh? Why won't you rename it? POS ID1. Okay, doesn't want to rename it. Okay, no worries. So once you have added this, now here, this is the very tricky part, right? Because a lot of the times you'll be like, I'm moving things around but nothing is happening. The first slider, in fact the most important slider here, is the delay slider, right? So you want to keep it at like, let's say 0.3. Now nothing is going to happen by default. You have to do a few things for this to actually work. You want to come into transform firstly, very important. Come to transform, change it from characters, words or lines, whatever you want. I want words in this case. It's going to change it to words. Okay, that's the first thing you do. Now once that is done, we have the timing set. Now again, you want to come in here, just like character level styling. I'm going to select the first word, which is this in this case. Okay, with the first word selected, I'm going to come here into transform, and I have the offset Y. Okay, so I'm going to move forward to like 10 frames in my timeline. So I'm 10 frames in. I'm going to come in and click on this button here, that will add a keyframe. Okay, now this is kind of confusing. The moment you add a keyframe, it automatically adds a path modifier, so just double click it and ignore it at the moment. This is a few things that Resolve does, which like, why are you doing it? Okay, so you've added a keyframe here. Now you're going to go to the beginning, and remember we still have the first word selected. You're going to go to 0 now, and again you're going to come here to Y, and you're going to drag it down till all of the text is like where you want it to start from. Now the thing is, just like After Effects, when you apply a layer style, right, it stays in the bounds of the comp. So if you're moving the text like this, the gradient is kind of moving away, but that's kind of a similar treatment or similar way how After Effects deals with it, so I'm not really complaining here. Now what has happened is, when you just brought it down like this, let me keep it to a whole number, let's say 0.5, minus 1, minus 0.15. Now when you brought it that way, it already a keyframe got added, so when you move it now, you're going to see that you have your word by word animation happening. Okay, So let me play it from the start. So in like 10 frames, the thing is, yeah, again here at 10 frames the animation stops, right? If you can't see it at 10 frames, that's where I put my keyframe, which you can see from this little white dot here. The animation should stop here, but because we have a delay and a follower of 0.3, it is taking like proportionately more for it to fully end. Now a few things here. Firstly, it looks very weird, looks off. So the way you fix that is you want to come here to the top, enable keyframe and spline. Okay, and this is one of those things of Resolve which you're like, this is such a garbage piece of interface. I'm gonna just go ahead and say that in Fusion it is an absolute nightmare to work with keyframes, spline and the like. I much rather just not work with these. However, you cannot avoid these because they are so very important. But bear with me here. Firstly, come in here and say selected only tool for both, so you will have less garbage around here. There is this button here which brings it like this, but you will see what I mean. The moment I start scrubbing around, you will see how snappy and irritating these windows are. Anyway, you want to select these and press S. That gives you a smooth curve. So already if I play from timeline now, the animation looks a lot better because the curve has gotten smooth. Okay, I'm gonna only do this for the moment, nothing else. Even here inside keyframe, you could select this and maybe click this button, so you will see. And it's just so weird to like move these around like this. You can do it, but coming from After Effects, it's very difficult to deal with it. So you come in here, you play it, you get a kind of a good animation. That's your first layer of animation, which is position. I tried renaming it, it doesn't want to rename, so I can't help it. You come into tools again, same process. Now we just don't want the position to animate, we also want the opacity to animate, or else we could add a rectangle here and then matte it, but that would be a different kind of effect. We're not going for that at the moment. So how do we animate the opacity? And inside opacity there's going to be one crucial point you will notice, and that is the drop shadow will have to be animated separately. So let me try and do that now. Again, the same process, right click here, insert and insert a follower. I come into modifiers here. Again, I'm going to try, because I'm going to keep trying to rename this as opacity, and it doesn't want to. Maybe it's because in the same, where am I? I'm lost. V for navigator. Yeah, maybe because over here I have these, right, and I have renamed them to, so this one, right, I've renamed them to position opacity. That is why it is not renaming in the same node tree. Okay, that makes sense now. It's not really Resolve's fault, it's my fault, so it doesn't rename it that way. Anyway, we're trying to demonstrate things here, okay? Please stay with me. So on the second one, I come in here, come into modifiers. This is your opacity. Okay, the same process. We're gonna come and put the delay to 0.3. This can be anything. I'm just taking 0.3 as an example. Now here, importantly, again, you want to come into transform and change this to, this can stay as characters, but I'm going to change it to lines. Okay, and I'm coming to shading. Now when I come into shading, even though you add a keyframe, again the same thing, you add a keyframe here, you go back, you change the opacity, nothing will happen. What you have to do is, because this is basis lines, right, you want to select the entire top line at 10 frames. You know, add opacity keyframe. This is important, right? Things have to be selected in the monitor, only then this will work. And you come in and make it 0. Now we've made the opacity of the text 0. However, the shadow is not on element 1. Element 1 only has our fill layer, which is basically the gradient layer. The shadow is on element, select element 3 over here. Okay, so you're gonna come back to frame 10, and over here you wanna, okay, let me come here so you can actually see things. You know, come here and again on opacity add a keyframe at frame 10. Now right now we are in element 3. We were earlier in element 1, element 3 with the first line selected. I'm gonna add a keyframe there and go back and take this opacity to 0. Now when you play back, you're gonna have the animation that you can very easily have inside After Effects, but this is how you have it here in Resolve. So this is like position opacity animation. Okay, and what you can do is you can select all of these here and press S. So in this, control A and press just this. Come in here, control A and S. So that's all smoothed out. Okay, so now I've documented basically how to make this text animation. This is a little too dark here. We can make it subtle, but that's fine. I kind of like the right one more. Now these two things are something that I was able to figure through the day, right? And designing text, animating text. The third one, right? Macro workflow. This is something I haven't been able to. So the third one comes at 2119. No, what 2119? Stream time 2037. The macro workflow is something I still need to figure. So right now, right, what we are having is we just have a Fusion comp, which is, by the way, not even connected to media out. So if I come in here and I connect this to media out, okay, so this is gonna be the media out, right? If I come in back to my edit page, this text here has this media out. If I play it, I get this exactly what we made inside Fusion. However, if I come in here and change any of this text, right, if I do something like this, nothing will take place, nothing will take effect, because the Fusion composition on this text plus layer is overriding everything. So well, that is a problem, right? Because I can't just alt duplicate this and then use it for other. In fact, as a matter of fact, you can't even alt duplicate it because it's not working. Is there something? Oh, there's something on top. Yeah, you can all duplicate the same thing, right? But again, you can't change anything here in the edit page, and that's what we want, right? We want things that we've made inside Fusion, a lot of effort and a lot of jaggojet. We need to be able to make them or change them inside of the edit page. And so the way to do that is to make a macro. Okay, you want to make a macro inside of Fusion. And I've done this before, right? I tried making it, but it did not work out like I wanted it to. It worked inside Fusion, like as a macro tool, but not as a Fusion title, which you export it into your, like, save it somewhere and then you use it as a drag and drop situation. So I'm gonna try and do that now. I don't know if it will work. This is something which I have to yet figure, but let's try and figure it together, shall we? So you wanna come and select these two. Okay, media out to settings, controls, index. Okay, let's say I select these two. I select the media out to. I say right click and macro and create macro. So this brings up this box here. This is a very confusing box. For the most part, you don't understand what is happening here. So I'm going to rename this macro to overlap text underscore gradient underscore shadow 4, because I've tried it doing 3 times earlier, it didn't work. Now over here this is giving you an option of things which you want to tick, and apparently you'll be able to change them once this macro goes out, either brought in to Fusion to use or it goes into the edit page to be used. So do we need to check something? We good? Okay, we're good. So text 1, you want to come and select this output. Seems important, so we're going to check that. Follower 3, follower 2. Now this is a bit of a confusion here. So in my modifiers, follower 2 was position, follower 2 was position. So I just need the delay in position. I'm going to rename this to position delay. I don't need anything else. And follower 3 was opacity. So I'm going to take delay and say, oh, you can't see, opacity delay. Okay, so I have these two. Now character level styling, again I showed you that in your edit page also you can't just change the text there because we've added character level styling. So all the text changes will have to happen in this character level styling modifier. So text font style and size. What does text mean? I don't know. Styled text, it just seems important. I'm going to tick it. And all of these are just not necessary to be exposed, so I'm going to come in here and do that. And I think now we're good, right? We've done everything that we needed. I'm going to come out here. and there is media out as well. So in media out, output is selected. We don't quite need an input, index, stereo, common, whatever. Okay, fine. So that is that. Now we're gonna come in here and save it as. You're gonna make a note of where this is getting saved as on your PC. So I'm gonna copy that and I'm gonna save it here. Now what you want to do is, open Explorer and navigate to the place where it is getting saved on your PC. This is a .setting file. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to copy this and you come back to Fusion. You're going to come into templates, you're going to come into edit, you're going to come into titles, and over here you paste this. You see I already pasted over shadow 3, so I'm pasting shadow 4 now. And now for this to actually show up in your Resolve, you need to restart, you need to restart Resolve. So I'll bring this down and run Resolve again. I'm really happy with how so far the stream has gone, because really crisp, really on point. Been able to document something. This layer style thing that took me quite a while to document in the day, but I've been able to do it pretty sweetly, pretty smoothly here. Let me just bring my window in, coming back to the edit page. Okay, over here we're gonna come here somewhere, and let's say, like, let's stay on top because we want to test transparency. That was one big issue. Like when I come into the effects panel here, right, and inside effects panel, sorry, in my effects panel, inside titles, okay, you want to search for what you just made, overlap shadow 4. This is what we made, right? You see, even from the overlay I see that it's not working like it should. So I don't know why that's the problem. So I come and drag this here, okay, it's not working. Now this is a big problem. Like I don't know why this is like just fully black. I tried for a solution where instead of I've come back to where there was, this was the one, yeah, I was making duplicates. So I come back to Fusion, and as a solution, what I was trying to add is, if I come in here and because I want to retain transparency, I'm gonna add a add a merge node, add a background node. To this background node, we're gonna select make the alpha 0, plug this background node into the background of the merge node, and this text node, plug it into the merge node's foreground, and this merge node goes into the media out node. Okay, that's a very standard setup for a merge node, and it's still doing the exact same thing. And I thought maybe if I do this, if I select these now, right click, macro, create macro, and this would be again over here. In fact, I should just save it here instead of copying and pasting. So I'm gonna copy this, come in here, make it 5. Okay, now we have some additional ones. So media out has an output. However, what we're interested in is the background node and the background output. And if you select the background, somewhere there should be an alpha that we can take. So alpha top left alpha, something like this. Okay, global, and I don't know what these are. Merge, do I need something on the merge? Size and everything, no. Again, follower 3, follower 2, I need the delay. Follower 3, okay, what was it? Modifiers, follower 3 was opacity delay. Follower 2 position delay. Enable these. Character level styling, I need the text, font, style text seems important, size, and character level styling. Okay, so I've gotten everything here. We're gonna save this as, I'm just gonna go directly to my templates, edit, titles, and shadow file, save it here, close. We'll have to again start Resolve, and now we've added the merge node and the background node. That was one kind of workaround I was thinking about, but it still will give the same result. This is the last try, then we switch to what do we have to do next? Yeah, coding. that's the last thing I needed at this point in time. Anyway, so we're here back into the edit page, and I'll come back here, and again inside titles we're gonna search for overlap shadow phi, and I'm gonna see that it's still not doing what I wanted to do. So I bring it here, nothing's happening. So this is not working. I don't know why it's not working. I will figure that. But what is good is if I come to Fusion and I say right click, add tool, macros, and let's say I select one of these, let's say shadow 4. Okay, over here you have all of these things. So if it doesn't have a media out, so we'll have to add a media out. Add tool, media out, add. Okay, if I do this, maybe I know what the issue is now. If I, let's say I take the fifth one, setting one, I go into edit, and where were we saving it? Inside scripts. Wait, macros. If I save 5 here, save this in template now, titles, and take this and macros, save this here. I'll have to again start Resolve. It's not a problem, but I kind of felt like I saw the reason why it was not working is because the media out node was not coming in the macro. So because there's no, it only makes sense that there is no media out node. That's why the whole thing on the edit page is looking black. But we know, as a matter of fact, shadow setting 4 is also not working on the edit page. I copied 5 now. So I come into the edit page, and this thing here, when I go into, oh,
but when you understand and
what? This just worked.
But when you understand,
and when you select this, you can come in here and change. When you understand.
But when you understand and you judge who you're dealing with on that. But when you understand and you judge who you're dealing with.
How did this just work? I don't know. Is it working now? Let me just delete it. Go into titles. Overlap shadow phi. I bring this here.
But when you want,
it's not working. What happened?
But when you,
how is it working here, but it's not working there? So in here I have this. If I come in here and say add tool, macros, setting shadow phi. See, this by default has a media out inside of it. Top left alpha. You can pick or not change it. Alpha can be made here. This makes sense. But when you do that, you come into the edit page. Now it is working.
But when you understand,
no, it's not working. See, because I changed the text to when you understand here, and I can see like a flicker of when you understand, but it's going back to the original text. So this was the problem that I was stuck at, is like, what is happening here? I don't know, but I have to do this. I have to figure this out, because otherwise I have to go into After Effects and I have to render these things out these little texts right at the top. Maybe let me show you. Yeah, this here. So these little files have to, and that's not a problem. I can do it.
At Django, at least what I've learned is we go over and above for them.
Just rendering this as an alpha movie from After Effects and then bringing it here. I want to try and do things right inside of Resolve, because it just makes so much sense if I can just straight away, drag a title from here and add this kind of fancy, it may be having everything that I need, like over here, and then I can just change the text and voila, that's your super on the video. I don't know why Blackmagic has made it such a convoluted system where you have to firstly go through so much to make what you can so easily make inside After Effects, and then secondly, with the entire macro system, right, you're allowing something to be done with macros. Or maybe I need to research more, but like how much more, I don't know. That was it. I'm gonna switch to the last part of today's stream. We are 35. I knew it was gonna be a longer one, so we are at 35:46. We're switching into ITK progress. So let me open After Effects, and this is one very important thing that I wanted to document, which is something I did the whole day yesterday. Okay, I'm gonna go into scripting here. The whole day, like the first day of the year, was spent in this. I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna fire up VS Code. So come here and say open recent. Very nice. Cannot even find the recent. Oh dear. Script UI panels. ITK. So what did I do the whole day yesterday? I was doing this. Okay. Function. So I made one function called process element that does all of this stuff. Right now it has a switch statement in between, which allows for this to happen. Now for you to even to understand what I mean, let me come in here, let me run this script from Visual Studio itself. Okay, I have, let's say I have two things. I have a shape layer, no gradients. Just for demonstration, I have a shape layer. Okay, shape layer, and I have an artwork, could be anything. We'll just use some emoji, let's say this. So I have a shape layer and I have an artwork. Okay, with my in the code script, I can come in here. Firstly, obviously you could always do this is with 10 as the endpoint. You could say in, and we'll come in like in 10 frames. You can select both of them and do in. Both of them will come in 10 frames. What you can do is undo. You can fade them in, so they will now fade out. Sorry, fade in. F in. They will fade in. You can come in here. You can fade out, so they will fade out. Okay, and this you can do for like n number of layers. It's not just 2 layers. That is that. However, what I want you to notice is how this effect is getting applied. So we can notice here, popping in, transform effect is applied, everything is normal, it's fine. Right, we're popping in because this is not a shape layer. In the case of a shape layer, when we say pop in, we are doing something very interesting. Okay, let me make the anchor point to the center. It comes from the center. Okay, you will see that here, this is the thing I was talking about in yesterday's video, that anchor point has to be given an expression transformed at position. Okay, and the position of the transform effect has to go into anchor point. So you see that is the expression here. This is getting applied programmatically through the script. And the most interesting part here is, let's say I will just open animation composer, anchor point mover, and let's say my anchor point was on the left for the layer. This will automatically, the transform effect will scale from the left. If it was here, it will scale from there. If it was here, it will scale from here. This is as long as it's a shape layer. For this it won't happen, you'll have to manually do it, or maybe I can add that functionality somehow, but it is a few like calculations that have to be done. This was the major progress on the in the code script. Okay, one thing I'm yet to do now is the thing that I'm kind of stuck with. is what happens is if I have this shape layer, I bring it here, I pop it in, and let's say in like 5 I want to pop it out, right? Pop out. What happens is, okay, wait, we didn't have enough time. I come up until here and then I pop it out. So here when I bring it up, you see that there will be this kind of interpolation in between, which I do not want. So in After Effects, like manually, if I was doing it, I would come in here and say F9 easy ease, and with all the layers having, all the keyframes having the same ease, that would fix it. But over here in our script, what we're doing is every time we are applying inside of this process element function, which is being called by each of these simple functions, we are calling keyframe ease here. And so I need a way to be able to call keyframe ease towards the end where all of the keyframes are selected, and then we do that. That is something that is yet to be figured. We'll do that. Yeah, I think that is that. One very important thing here is something that I had documented only on March 2023. March of 2023. This is 2025. Huh? Okay. So in March of 2023, I documented this beautiful video, and I was very sure that I have documented it somewhere, right? This problem with the pop script I had, and I couldn't fix it. I couldn't find a solution. And over here, right, it doesn't, the title doesn't clearly say that what this is about, but this is about fixing this. And this is such a beautiful video for if you want to understand things about scripting at a very basic level. And here I talk about how when you come in here, say layer or property phi, right? When you come in here, you say layer property, effects, transform property, you have to use specially for scale, right? For everything else it works if you just put transform dot opacity or position. For scale you need a number, like a real number. So that is what I did over here, right? I will show you. That was some key map indexing I did, which was in, I just for optimization have made everything into a function, so it's kind of hard to find where that part is. So I'm looking in here. EO is effect, yeah, it has to be in effect property val in one of these. So effect property val, yes. We come in here, we say effects is layer property Ruby effects parade. Let me jump here. Effect is effects dot effect name, if no effect. These are all checks which ChatGPT is like, please put these checks. I'm like, okay. Then this thing here, variable property index mapping, right? Anchor point is 1, position is 2, scale is 4, rotation is 8, opacity is 9. This is only for the transform effect. Again, these are like kind of hard-coded things, but that's what it is. And then we map it to these. So then what happens is towards the end, instead of putting transform, position, opacity, stuff like that, we put the number. But we've mapped it in this way that when I put scale, right, my input is going to be scale because that's my property name. I'm going to put a string called scale when I call this function, and I'm calling it here effect property val layer transform opacity, effect property val layer transform scale. I'm going to call it as scale, but what's going to go into the function is 4, which is what makes the in the code pop script work. Okay, couldn't get IntelliSense to work with JSX. So over here you can't come in here and type a function and then say control space, and IntelliSense doesn't work with VS Code. I am starting to feel a massive kind of headache. Podcast project progress. Of course I spent so much time working on these things that I could not work as much as I could, but this cut down is almost done. So I'm just gonna play a little bit of it so you can see it, and I'm gonna mute my mic because I noticed there is this weird echo which comes in. So enjoy.
The role of client servicing, right? What does it entail? Job description to sabko milta hai. I want to know things outside of the JD.
Coordinating with the client, coordinating with your creative team, making sure everything is presented within a timeline and given to the client as per the expectations, whether it be a design, be a whole deck, monthly content, whatever. That is just your base level of client servicing. I feel there are layers in servicing. When I just joined client servicing, I thought you just have to always say yes to your POC, but that's wrong because they don't don't want us to say yes. They want us to give an opinion. They want us to have an idea that is better for their brand. At least what I've learned is we go over and above for them. If they have some really
okay, it's lagging a little bit, so that's fine. But anyway, there's a lot of good stuff that has gone up until this point in this project, but the best part, right, is the sound effects. The ability to add these sound effects, because they're all in my power bin now, and they're all like tweaked to the right volume, so just to like drag and drop and have it work is so rewarding to be like able to put this kind of stuff together. Just one super thing, how to make it work in the edit page, is something I'm yet to figure, and then I can finally move full speed forward and get done with all the cut downs, because only then can I go for a leave. But that's something that is yet to be documented. And that's where we conclude today's live stream. Quite a few things I learned today. Massive headache I'm having right now. I just want to like shut everything down and die. That's what I want to do. So thanks so much for being in the code. I will catch you in my next session. वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह.